So with the pulley housing bearings changed now, I am very confident that that's quiet. This motor here, even on its own on the running, was a little bit noisy. So I want to take care of this first. So I have this, the pulley housing, those two quiet before I attach it to the spindle. I want to make sure that I have a baseline of what's going on, because in the spindle I did not change the bearings in there. I just cleaned up the ones that were in there. So I have a sneaky suspicion that I may be redoing that, but it's all good learning. I'm going to pull the pulley off here. I had this thing loose here earlier to adjust the height of it to line it up with the spindle or the pulley housing. Looks pretty good, just needs to be cleaned. Ooh, that's nice. And I've never had one of these apart, so should be interesting. First thing I'm going to do is, I've had this off a couple of times, this top here. It's got a like a spring, like a bevel spring washer, that when this cap gets bolted down or screwed down, it applies some pressure to the bearing in the top here. Yeah, I think this here applies some pressure on this ring here. It's like a spring washer of some sort. And then what I think happens is, if I take these 4 screws out, this flange here, which has a bearing pocket at this end of the shaft, which I should get cleaned up first. I'm assuming this will come off and either leave the bearing on the shaft, or the bearing will come with it. And then that allows I think I gotta go that way to push the bearing out of the top side. I've got 2 out. I've got this one loose, and yeah, they're in there a long way. They go all the way to the top of the motor, obviously sandwiching everything together. And I've been working back and forth Trying to tighten and then loosen this thing. I got lucky. I put a little bit of heat up there on the top of that housing. Sure is stubborn. And I think I better match mark this stuff here, top and bottom, before I pull it apart. Pretty much what I thought was going to happen. The bearing stayed, and the bearing doesn't turn. Well, it turns, but it sure doesn't feel good. So now what I think I can do is I can tap this to get this back bearing that's starting to come out. Seems simple enough. Now I should be able to pull the bearings off of this. So I'm pretty sure I should just be able to put the puller on this casting on the back here, and yep, that's not even tight. So that's a through bore. I think this bearing here goes into a shoulder because this diameter here is bigger than this, and it's not finished the same. And it looks the same on this end too. This diameter in here is larger, so there's a shoulder. I was wondering about positions of these bearings, but it looks like it's fixed based on the shaft. And if I had to guess, somebody's pulled the seal out of this back one here and put some grease in there. Switch to a different puller here, a little smaller one. Actually, I think I'm going to set it up in the vise. That's coming off there nice and simple. Got lucky on the bearings, or one so far. It's probably a little unorthodox, but it's just sometimes how I roll. I had to use two separate pullers and combine some of the parts here to get the length I needed for that bearing. I'm gonna give it a try here. Just trying to find a way to hold the puller and not have my hand in the view of the camera. Feels like quite a bit of pressure on that thing right now. Right now I'm thinking heat. Sorry, I missed it on camera. I put it down in the vise a little different grab on the and put a little bit more pressure. You know, there was one of the pops. There was a little pop, and then it started to move. I don't know whether it was the heat or it's coming off there now. And there we go. And I can I'll clean it up a bit, but I think I can read looks like a 204 KDD. So we'll get a couple of bearings and we'll be back in business. So with 2 new bearings, and I'm hoping this has been in the shop all day, pretty cold, and I've got the bearings heating up right now. Not too hot. I'm going to start out at about 150 degrees and just hopefully I can get them just to slip on there. I don't want to have to press, but if I do, I'll figure something out. I'll have to come up with something to press those on. I haven't got anything prepared just yet. I'm going to try heat first. So that didn't quite work out, so I've got a little bit hotter, and look at that, it's ready. And plan B, I've got a little piece of tube here, aluminum, that I can use to press it. Well, that didn't work either. Had to go to plan B. Didn't have enough heat, and I didn't want to heat the bearing too far. Well, that hurt. Showing off for the camera, so I'm going to try this again. Actually, I guess I don't need that piece on there. This aluminum will hold that. Let's see what we get here. Trying to get this thing to sit straight. There we go. That was pretty simple. Now I'll flip it over and I'll do the same thing for the other bearing. The other bearing's that's seated. So I'll just do the opposite here for the smaller bearing. And so now with the 2 bearings on there, the bottom one pressed on pretty much the same as the top one, fairly simple. With those 2 in place now, all that's left is reassembly and test. So here it is, it's all back together now, and this feels good. And I've already run it, but I've got everything, I got the furnace and everything shut off in here now, so this is just going to be motor noise now. So next thing, I'm going to put the pulley on and we'll put it back in the belt housing.